Earn extra cash over the festive period. On behalf of Royal Mail Group, Manpower...
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Absolute Sim Racing for the 10th round of the BSR SIM3D MX5 trophy here at Road Atlanta. It's good to be back here in the comms box and alongside me, much was the case last time out when I was in the booth at the Red Bull Ring. It's Alex Everett here for some really brilliant action and another circuit which is very much dominated by long, flat-out sections where you can get plenty of slipstreaming, plenty of overtakes on the board. We come off the back of an excellent round as well. Last time out, the 9th round of the championship at Oran Park, which saw championship leader Casper Decourt extend his advantage over Adam McNally by the tune of just about 100 points. into the final 3 rounds now. It's really starting to heart up, and this is where drivers cannot afford to make any mistakes. It's very close as well between, well, drivers in behind squabbling for the podium places in the overall and pro classifications, as well as actually in Pro-Am. Craig Cockrell had a brilliant time last week. He sees himself at the top of the Pro-Am standings, leapfrogging ahead of Michael Seal and Harley Moss. And then having a look at the AM Championship, Ben Humberston still in the lead, but only just 35 points the difference between the front two, because Simon Robson has closed that gap all the way down. And on a circuit where we've seen huge championship swings one way and the other, you can be sure that this could be another twist in the championship tail. And Alex, welcome back to the booth. Qualifying is, well, just about to get underway with drivers starting their first flying laps here. And, well, the championship leader was very quick, wasn't he, in practice?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for having me back, Ed and BSR. Great to be here at Road Atlanta today. Wonderful, wonderful track. Quite a legacy when it comes to iRacing is Road Atlanta, home of the Petit Le Mans. But today it's home of round 10 of the MX5s. Looking forward very much to tonight. If Red Bull Ring, my last round, was anything to go by, this one is surely to be a corker as well.
And you can actually see as well a different livery on the 5-star Motorsport cars. It's actually, for me, Lars Fischer is still using the old one. I'm not sure if you're seeing the exact same that I am, Alex, but the two up in front, car number 1, especially Jason Cooper, and car number 5, Casper de Court, running a different sort of livery. You can see that the front chrome and orange.
Yeah, that's very nice. I do love a good spec map on liveries, and that is a very good example of one. Very nice livery indeed. Have to judge the rest of the field before I decide my favourite livery of the night, but that's got a lot of marks already. Yeah,
definitely. You know, have a look as the cars make their way down through the S's for the first time in anger in qualifying. Jason Cooper ahead of his teammate Casper de Court, helping him out with a little bit of toe down the back straight away. Looking towards Lee Holmes. First corner is so crucial that you can really make or break a lot of time on your first flying lap. And the tyres might be getting towards their best, to be fair. It's pretty much when the tyres are fresh out of the box where the car is very fast indeed, which is why we often see drivers stop for maybe a couple, maybe 3 flying laps, diving in the pits midway through the session, then going out for one final charge for the top spots, the top times. And work through Shane Piggott coming down towards the double right-handers. Set yourself up nicely, get that late apex, all about the run out of the corner. Shane Piggott with a nice healthy amount of slipstream from number 9 just up the road. Car, of course, belonging to Craig Cockrell. And now here we go. First times coming through on the board. Lars Fischer getting double slipstream helping from his teammates. And up across the line, it might be pole position by the number 5 that I think had a very good time. Now Casper de Court invalidated his lap time somewhere. It was a very, very good lap, but unfortunately invalidated somewhere. It doesn't count. And at the moment, the times are staying with Dave Chapman at the top.
Yeah, it seems that a few drivers, I think we're around about 3 laps in to qualifying right now, 3 flying laps anyway. And it seems people are struggling with track limits, which is a bit odd for this track. It's surrounded by grass, gravel traps, etc. With the exception of the corner we just went through, corner 5, I believe. Yeah, struggling with off tracks at the moment. We'll see how easily these drivers can get on the board. And a couple of drivers having a tussle here as we come down the hill through the S's at Road Atlanta. This is Shane Piggott at the head of them, swapping positions. He was running behind the car behind of Craig Cockrell, who was top of the standings earlier on, but now 3rd in category, getting a tow from ahead now, which should help on maybe not this lap as they swap positions, but on the next lap. And as we saw at Red Bull Ring, our last meeting anyway, and we've seen with a lot of tracks already this season, the MX5s, the drafting is real important for these cars because they need the extra power, I suppose, particularly on this long straight here, synonymous with with Road Atlanta. And we see Douglas Stewart swapping positions with Craig Cockle as well. Getting in position ready for a new flying lap as 6 minutes expired. And 9 minutes to go.
Well, that was a very impressive lap time from Jason Cooper, who's just gone to the top of the timing sheets. You can see that with a 1 minute 35.355, 4/10 quicker than teammate Lars Fischer, and well over half a second quicker than what was previously the pole position time held by Dave Chapman. So that's an excellent storming lap time coming through from last season's champion. Running the number one, not for no reason, as you can see. And this is actually a track where he has historically gone very well. I remember, I think it was a few seasons back now, where he was on track to win 4 out of 4 races, but in the 4th and final race, at the final corner, had a bit of contact. I think it was with a back marker, actually, that sent him out of the race. So Jason Cooper, he's just been chasing that elusive 4 out of 4, the complete shutout, maybe with a few favourable reverse grids, and if he gets a good start to this race, holds on to pole position, runs away, could be on for that, but it's far too early in the evening to make any of those sorts of positions, and of course, with track being so slipstream heavy, being in pole position isn't necessarily the best place to be, because you can gain a lot of time going into turn 10A and 10B at the end of the back straight. Going across the line now, Jason Cooper hasn't had any tow whatsoever. This is not likely to be an improvement. Comes across the line, does not improve. However, his teammate and championship leader at the moment, Casper de Court, does improve. Very good time. Actually, Casper de Court, not championship leader. Sorry, my mistake. Actually, yes, he is championship leader. Why am I getting so confused and muddled? Hey, what does 2 weeks out do to you, of course? Casper de Court leading championship. Adam McNally, his nearest rival. I don't think he's, well, really anywhere, is he? Down in 14th place, languishing down in 14th place, it has to be said. Not getting track space afforded to him. Got some help from a teammate, though. Could be very crucial. Just look at the traffic in front. He's going to hope that will help him, not hinder him. Not necessarily aggressive into turn 10A, 10B, so taking it easier, focusing on the exit. This isn't going to be an improvement for Adam McNally, but he's going to be setting it up for, well, the final 6 minutes of qualifying.
Yeah, and as you alluded to, track position is quite important here at Road Atlanta, because it's not particularly easy to overtake here, and it's not particularly easy to get past even straggling cars, particularly through the S's on this first part of the lap. Very tricky indeed, so you've got to maintain a good distance from the car in front well in advance for your lap, as you need that slipstream. It's crucial to be close enough to get that slipstream, but you don't want to be too close to be compromising your lap. And we're still, I think we're still waiting for the lap from Adam McNally. We've seen what he's been able to do all season long, and we know he can get higher up in the standings. His teammate, on the other hand, Adam Delmont, right in front in the 777 car, up in 4th place at the moment. So surely they're in the Discord at the moment saying, come on Adam, get a move on, and come on Adam, give me a tow along. Plenty going on, but so far a 5-star performance for the 5-star drivers, up in 1st and 2nd position. Very, very good performance from them, as it usually is from the 5-star motorsport drivers.
Yeah, definitely. This is looking like a better time coming through from Adam McNally, with a bit of slipstream helping him across the line. But we're going to watch Craig Cockrell, who's rocketed to the top of the Pro-Ams and also getting provisionally onto the 2nd row of the grid, which will be very good for his championship hopes. And then look at the 5-star motorsport cars all coming out on pit exit at the same time together for the final 5 minutes. They're trying to work it out amongst themselves. You can see them waiting for the track position to open up for them, all the while cooling their tyres off in a good state. Adam McNally then rounding out the final corner. What can he do? Improves only up into 12th place. Not good enough to really challenge positions we were expecting the Excite iRacing driver to manage. Second in the championship. This is not the sort of qualifying he'd be hoping for. Of course, at a circuit like Road Atlanta, you can make up lots of positions, but you don't want to be starting down in the mid-pack going into turn 1, because that sets you up for all sorts of shenanigans to befall you. Unfortunately, we've seen that all too many times this season. Drivers maybe not qualifying as well as they were hoping, and then that having the knock-on effect of a very poor showing for the rest of the evening, getting caught up in incidents. Looking at Shane Piggott now rounding out the second, the second last corner onto the back straight, and I think you were going to say something, Alex.
I've forgotten it, so no, it can't have been that important, don't worry, Ed. Just seeing Piggott go a bit wide at the final corner, that's going to be costly. There's a big draft opportunity ahead of him, and look at this draft train that's going on the back straight here. Second of them at the moment, Frank Vestner in the 333 car, being towed along by the 227 car of Sam Smith, both in similar positions, 16th and 17th. As they come around the final corner now, will set another time. Brilliant camera angle on the curb there, but the car's not quite hitting that curb at full whack. And actually Smith, rather than Vestner, Sam Smith puts himself second in category and 9th overall. A very good lap, considering Sam Smith didn't have much of a tow either. That's a rather impressive lap.
Yeah, it's a very good lap from Sam Smith. No tow, of course. So crucial. And speaking of tow, we're going to watch Casper de Court. He's in second place. What can he do to get onto pole position? Going to go on board with the championship leader here. Up towards turn 2 and then turn 3. Cutting the curb nicely on the inside. You can get away with track limits there. And then flat out all the way, plunging down into the S's. Again, just softening up the steering angle, not scrubbing the speed. Rising up the elevation through turn number 5. Number 5 with a very good exit as well by Casper de Court. See the way the circuit undulates up and down, and then into the right-hander where you can carry a surprising amount of speed. Trust in the car, trust in the tyres to grip up. And then late apex if you can. Power out nice and early. Get the momentum going. Get a tow as well from your teammate. Perfect run from Casper de Court. Having a look at the sector times, he's not setting them alight, but it's definitely a good, strong showing thus far. Sector 1 decently quick, so was sector 2, just a touch off the pace perhaps, but now into sector 3 and sector 4. Sector 3 a personal best. Now into the 4th and 5th sector, he backs out of it. He's going to wait and leave it till the last minute. When he comes across the line, he won't have enough time to complete an extra lap. This will be, well, his second to last lap, and now it's going to be his final try. So Casper de Court not able to get the goods this time by. I think he probably told his teammate, not going to improve, back out, let's go for one final try. And look at the 107 as well. Lars Fischer getting a double helping of the tow, only about 400ths shy of Casper de Court, so don't count him out from shooting up the order as well.
Oh, this is a stunning performance in qualifying by the team though. 1, 2, 3 at the moment, and Jason Cooper, we alluded to it earlier, but a fantastic time at the top, and he seems fairly confident. He is happy right now, towing along his teammates, Casper de Court and Lars Fischer. But Casper de Court, I do wonder if he's too close.
He's purple in the first sector, and that looked like a very strong second sector as well. We're going to see what the times are when he comes in towards the intermediate. He is marginally quicker there. Another personal best coming through sector 2. This is an absolute storm overlap. Has he closed too much though to Jason Cooper? Not quite. He's going to get a lovely helping. In fact, actually as well, the number 94 just up the road, James Clark, former teammate of Jason Cooper, helping Jason, helping de Court all the way down now into turns 9. The little right-hand bend on the back straight. Then into turn 10A, 10B. This is a very strong showing from Casper de Court. Again, faster through sector 3. Just the final sector to go now. He's going to have to get it absolutely to perfection on the apex. Powering out through the second as well. Good, strong showing. But through the final turn, is it enough? Closing down in the slipstream. He needs to keep on the throttle. Hang it round, and it could be. Is it going to be? No, not quite for Casper. By the thinnest of margins, 600ths of a second. Casper de Court remains in second place. Jason Cooper just holds on, but tell you what, great teamwork to make sure that they secured their grip on those top 3 positions, because every single driver in behind that man who's on pole position, Jason Cooper, improved, but it was not enough to usurp him from the front row. Now their focus shifts into the race. What can they do to keep their advantage into turn 1?
This is quite the statement of intent from the 5-star team. I believe Lars Fischer also improved his time, but look at the gap between the top 3 and the nearest position of position 4. Granted, in a different category, but it's the overall field you've got to think about. That is really, really going to spook the rest of the field. Surely they're thinking, what can we do about that? But qualifying's one thing, a race another. And if that 3 can get together and get a good start off the line, they're going to be tough to beat tonight, that's for certain.
Yeah, I think it was about the stars really aligning. Even Jason Cooper got a little bit of a toe down this flat-out section towards the end of the lap. So I think it was definitely a time when it all just came together for 5-star Motorsport. But you could see it wasn't through just pure dumb luck. They timed it, they were waiting on pit exit, and then they had the call, but maybe we're closing down too much on the cars in front, let's back it up, or I'm not going to improve, Jason, let's back it up into the chicane and go for one final time. And they didn't really leave much else to chance. Great effort from the 3 of them as qualifying has come to a close, and we can run you through the starting order for the first of 4 races here at Road Atlanta. Jason Cooper and Casper de Court make up your front row, with Lars Fischer and the Pro-Am of Craig Cockrell making up the second, with Adam Delmont in 5th, James Clark in 6th. Andy McEwen starts 7th ahead of Dave Chapman. Sam Smith, another Pro-Am driver, inside the top 10 ahead of Adam Manali, who completes aforementioned top 10. He'll be hoping for a little bit more from the qualifying position into the race, because, of course, he is a contender for the championship. 11th place, James Neve, ahead of Lee Holmes. Nick Clibbins, 13th, ahead of Shane Piggott. Michael Seal, Douglas Stewart, Frank Bessler, Glenn Humberston, fastest of the AMS in that qualifying session. He is 18th, ahead of Brian Stewart, Duncan Cope, Mark Oliver, Fiona Siddons, Alto Campana. Then drivers that did not complete laps in qualifying, starting towards the back of the field: Ryan Main, Andy Thompson, Ashley Stimpson, Liam Silkstone, Harley Moss, Slimer Robson, Craig Schill, Julian Shaw, and Liam Stimpson rounding out the field here. 32 cars making their way to the grid. And it's a very strange starting order, especially if you're further back here at Road Atlanta from a standing start, isn't it, Alex? Because you're kind of on a bend.
Yeah, if we revert to drivers towards the back, you look here, most of the AM category drivers starting on the bend here, which is going to be tricky, very, very tricky indeed. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that end of the field, particularly for the first lap. It's a very difficult first lap at this track, getting through the S's, a very narrow track indeed as well. So once the drivers get onto the back straight relatively unscathed, they'll breathe a little easier, that's for certain.
Yeah, especially if you're starting off of the racing line on the dirty side of the track, no marbles, especially on that bend, you will be losing out massively. And Jason Cooper from pole position, not on the rubbered in line, but having the inside into turn 1. The lights are coming on. You can hear the engine notes beginning to climb. The first time here at Road Atlanta, we are racing. It is a good start from Jason Cooper. About all the 5-star motorsport cars getting away well. Keep your eyes open for the 777 of Adam Delmont, holding the inside for Excite as around the outside. Craig Cockrell from 4th place doesn't quite get the best start and drops back a place. Scrubbing through turn 1 they go. They all seem to be relatively safe, even the huge gaggle of AM and Pro-Am cars from about 20th place, all fighting up together, keeping it nice and safe just about, as Brian Stewart gets passed by Fiona Siddons through turn 3. 2 abreast through the S's is always a scary thing, but they have to do it on the first lap. Ooh, and that was Ryan Stewart, Fiona Siddons still going side by side. Fiona hanging it around the outside. Great to see that little fight between teammates. Further towards the front, though, it is 5-star Motorsport keeping the order that they had in qualifying. Jason Cooper ahead of Casper de Court, ahead of Lars Fischer. But now this is the first time in racing conditions we see the train of MX5s coming through. Let's look back from Jason Cooper. Look at that absolute snake of MX5s, all nose to tail, going down into turn 10. Turn 10A and 10B. Are we going to see a move from Casper de Court? No, it doesn't need to. Instead, Slits in behind. Slight defensive drive from Fisher to fend off Delmont. I don't think Delmont was really looking to upset the apple cart just yet. Instead, he's focusing more on maybe working together, trying to break ranks with the chasing pack behind. Speaking of chasing pack, Andy McEwen chasing down Dave Chapman. Those two drivers swapping places in the early stages. Andy McEwen down one, Dave Chapman up one. Adam Delmont setting his sights on Lars Fischer. Maybe aiming to help out his teammate. If Adam McNally can't climb up through the order, then at least Delmont can set about trying to take points away from his teammates' main championship contenders. But of course, looking at Delmont himself, he's only in 4th place. He isn't completely out of the picture himself in the final 3 rounds. Around about, trying to work out the maths, 1,200 points available. Could still come back through and maybe try and have a huge upset for the championship.
We just saw the car of Ashley Stimson go wide, going through the S's, and now he's under real trouble from fellow AND category drivers. Look at this 3 wide going into the back corner here, and there's contact between him and the...
That's Harley Moss.
Yes, it is. It's Harley Moss off into the grass. Hasn't hit the wall, thankfully. But that was a very close call for Harley Moss indeed, but drops him down the order quite a lot. And there's also an instant further up in the field, I believe it was James Neve was involved in an instant earlier on in the lap. Can't quite see what's happened there. Let's take a look and see if, see if we can actually see what happened to James Neve. No, we can't. He's hit the wall very heavily and a lot of damage on that car, and the car will be crabbing quite a lot. So that is a bad start to the night for James Neve in the pro category.
Yeah, looking where the car is positioned, it looks like maybe just overcooked it slightly on the exit of turn 5, dabbing maybe half an inch of rear tyre onto the gravel that splits the car to the left and into the tyre area. I've done that numerous times, as I'm sure you probably have as well, Alex. It's a tricky corner to get right, even in an MX5, when you're really pushing the limits maybe a little bit more than you're expecting, especially on cooler tyres on the opening couple of laps. Lars Fischer doing a good job to fend off Adam Delmont. I think he's got his own job to worry about, which is help out Casper de Court for the championship, as well as maybe keep himself in the picture, keep Adam Delmont firmly out of it. Finding McNally, he's actually up 2 places now, so he's had a pretty decent last lap, getting up ahead of Andy McEwen. He was having to look back more than anything else at a very close Sam Smith. On board now with Sam. Not quite getting that straight line pace. Then it all comes later on, I think. Is Sam maybe worrying a little bit by Lee Holmes in behind. That gap is very close. Lee Holmes looking left, then forced to the right, outside line into turn 10. No positions being made or lost between this pack of 5. All fighting for 8th place. Currently held by Adam McNally coming through the final corner now. You can definitely see drivers even gaining through the bends because they are just flat out. Quite a substantial portion of the lap. Into the first corner, we've seen moves being made around the outside, moves down the inside. It's a real sort of driver's corner. You can try different moves, try not to settle your opposition, and means that we get some absolutely great racing. Look at him, you're giving 2 wheels over the curb, really wringing the neck of his MX5, going down through the S's, trying to keep in hot pursuit of Adam McNally, who himself was trying not to let James Clark get too far away.
Very wide there from the number 4 car. Andrew McEwen then just about kept it going. You can go quite wide there, so there's no fear of a slowdown, but there is the fear of the 1x off-track penalty. Keeping to the inside, plenty of room given on the outside to the 227 car of Sam Smith, and actually that battling, it's a track you definitely can't get bogged down on because of the long straights here and how much extra horsepower you need from the car in front and the momentum through the corners. But actually these cars have dropped back a little bit from Adam McNally. The side by side coming down the straight here, Sam Smith on the outside, which definitely isn't the optimal line coming down to the next corner of the chicane, but it seems he's got the better run on Andrew McEwen. Into the corner we go. It's very close between bumper to bumper, but Sam Smith seems to have got himself in front, pulls out to the outside of the corner a little bit to try and cover it, but Andrew McEwen with a good undercut back up the inside for the final 2 corners of the lap. Side by side through the final corner here. Plenty of room given, plenty of respect between the two, but it's still side by side as they come into turn 1, Ed.
Beautiful switch back from Andy, but can he pull it off? Can he hold on into turn 1? He carries the momentum, covers the run off of the corner as well. And now up into turn 2, turn 3. There's a little look down the inside from Smith, but Andy McEwen holds back on to ninth place. That was a great fight. You could see he set that beautifully coming into turn 10A, staying over to the left-hand side of the track for 10B, really opening out the corner and then getting to the inside as soon as possible, not letting that get covered off by Smith. And he's not lost too much track to Adam McNally, who's only a second up the road. Around about a second and a half is when you start to feel the effects of the slipstream. So Andy will definitely be getting some assistance out of turn 8. Maybe not enough to keep the others at bay, because look at how close they are.
Yeah, this battle for 9th here, real close. But you see how much time that they are losing from Adam McNally. There's not much passing going on the first half of the lap. But they are losing a lot of time with just focusing on one another. But it seems that Sam Smith is real good down that back straight, and the slipstream's not fully affecting Andrew McEwen as much as he wants anyway, and he drops the position. I think Sam Smith might have this one covered this time. Oh, as he goes wide. Oh, commentator's curse. I shouldn't have said that. And then Andrew McEwen back up the inside for the final corner. It's almost deja vu from the previous lap.
Yeah, Andy McEwen, he's no stranger to the curse of the commentator, having dished it out himself. But oh my word, huge crash up in front. I think that could be Delmont out of the race. Yes, it is. And look who else is involved. Lars Fisher. Oh my word, Sam Smith as well collides with the cars on the exit of turn 1. Calamities for the driver that was battling so well, trying to fight with Andy McEwen for 9th place. What on earth happened up in front though? We just caught the tail end. This was it. Oh, and it was Chapman just tapping into the rear of Delmont, who slid across the track. Nothing Delmont could do. Oh dear, that might be looked at by the stewards. I think Dave Chapman, he'll be appealing that it was a racing incident. There was netcode, and Sam Smith, he was on the outside of the track. There were cars to the inside. He couldn't go anywhere but to the scene of the accident, unfortunately. Let's watch that again from an aerial shot from Dave Chapman. He's right up behind. Even if there was a little bit of netcode, there still would have been contact regardless. I think that will be on Dave Chapman. Come the end of this race, perhaps come the end of this meeting, Stuart definitely going to have a look at that one, because it's caused several cars to, well, take an early bath, take an early end to their race. Oh my word, it's still kicking off. The action doesn't stop for Andy McEwen. He's already seen one incident, doesn't want to be part of anyone. As into turn 10A, takes a tight inside line, tries to hang it around the outside, doesn't quite do it, but is also able to cover off the inside. Now Shane Piggott fancies a run down the inside into final bend. McEwen fighting it on the exit, but boxed in. What way can he feasibly try and take back? Hold on. I'll tell you how he's going to do it. He's going to send it on Lee Holmes. Brilliant move from Andy.
Well, that's one way of defending your position, is take another one. Brilliant opportunistic move up the inside of Lee Holmes. Caught him off guard, I suppose. Lee Holmes thinking, he's defending, so maybe I could go through this corner a bit normally and a bit, relax a little bit. But no, you can't relax in the BSR MX5s. Andrew McEwen putting on quite the show so far in this race. Started 7th, is 7th at the moment in this competitive field. Maintaining your position at this end of the field as well is still some good going. Adam McNally, we've mentioned him quite a few times tonight, up 4 places to 6th. Had a relatively quiet race, picking off a few positions time and time again. And he's steadily making his way towards the battle for 3rd here, amongst Dave Chapman, source of the drama 2 laps ago, Craig Cockrell and James Clark.
Tell you what as well, those front two have been having a good race. Cooper and DeCourt working together, bumping each other along. You can see exactly what they're doing. Front two squabbling, but helping each other out for the moment, as we see now the fight for the podium erupting. Dave Chapman going through into 3rd place. Open the door wide as well for James Clark on Craig Cockrell. The final corner. We'll see the Swift Cooper the sports driver make up that place. Tell you what, that isn't a bad job, is it, from Craig Cockrell? Crown driver knows what he needs to do. Just finish ahead of Michael Seal, Lee Holmes, main championship rivals for him.
But I think he needs to know that this might not be his battle, and that might have been why he surrendered that position. It's Dave Chapman straight off the track, hit the curb too hard. That'll be a slowdown penalty and might concede 3rd, 4th and 5th maybe.
Chapman is a very smart racer, but of course rules state that you have to save your slowdowns, I believe, off of the racing line. Maybe he could be clever and try and serve it into the next few corners. Goes to the inside. You can see he's trying to hold everyone up. He's not technically on the racing line into the corner, but then being on the apex is. He's got to be very smart with how he's getting through. If it's not cleared already, he could be in trouble because you've got this long straightaway. All that time is going to be accruing for your slowdown penalty. I think you might realise that as well. There's a certain length of time. I think it's 30 seconds, 35 seconds you have to serve the penalty in. We were saying maybe this isn't Craig Cockrell's fight. He wants a piece of it anyway. He's trying to get in, muscling on all the action. And while he's doing that, it's opened up massively for Adam McNally, who's now right at the back of this train for the podium. Somehow Dave Chapman's been able to stay in front, even with that slowdown penalty. He's very smart, very clever with how he plays the game, is Dave Chapman. He's one of the cleverest racers out there in terms of these little things, maybe outside of just out-and-out pace and out-and-out racecraft. He's a little bit smart with the rules. There's big incident into turn 10 for Fiona Siddons, losing out on several positions there.
Yeah, I just turned to the standings, very close there on the rejoin, but I saw Fiona Siddons was contending for the first spot, and a big hit indeed. Let's see if we can see that again between herself and Glenn Humberston. Very close coming down the main straight here, and it just seems that one car turned off the racing line. I think that one might be on Glenn, but we're not stewards, we're commentators.
Yeah, from the glance that we've just had it looks like Glenn gets very hard on the brakes, and it's typical MX5 trait is when you get really hard on the brakes, the car starts to wibble about a bit. It's difficult to keep it on the straight and narrow when you are so hard on the pedal trying to stop into these heavy braking zones, and I think that was probably what caught out Glenn Humberston, but he will probably be deemed to be at fault, and of course if that's the case, disqualified from the results could be having big implications in the championship as well. David Chapman, James Clark fighting together. We will be starting the final lap very shortly as Cooper and DeCourt make their way up the hill through turns 11 and 12. Look at Dave Chapman holding the inside. Does he get good run out the corner? No, he doesn't. Very poor exit. And look at McNally. He's really going very brave to squeeze out Dave Chapman like that. A little bit of contact, front corner to rear corner. We've seen guys get spun out from that. And look at Clark. He's really going over to the inside line, trying to break slipstream, trying to break the toe into the first corner. Nice run. This is the Adam McNally we're used to seeing, not what we saw in qualifying, but in the races. He loves to bring back the places. What was it like at the Red Bull Ring, making up 20, 30 odd places, something nuts like that was from Adam McNally. It's maybe not quite the same, but in qualifying it's very difficult to make up places into the race. Is seeing that come through from Adam McNally though. It's all about this final run. Can he snatch a podium from James Clark? All the while, let's not forget Cooper and DeCourt working together. Are we going to see those two start to fight together? Is the gentleman's agreement no more? I don't know. I'm not sure what you'd be planning. Jason Cooper has done so well to lead the race, been helping out Casper DeCourt massively. That gap is coming down. Casper DeCourt, he's going to go for it now, side by side, into turn 10 for the race lead, working together. And it's worked in the favour of Casper DeCourt, who has his nose just ahead into turn 10A. Is he going to have the overlap into 10B? They squeeze, they rub, they lean on each other. Coming out of the corner, Jason Cooper uses all of the circuit, not a bit more. They are side by side. That's a great exit, but the inside line isn't going to be enough for Casper DeCourt. Up to the line, it's going to be a photo finish, but Casper DeCourt just wins it by a nose, by 400ths rather of a second. And for the podium, Adam McNally has snatched it from Dave Chapman. James Clark loses 2 positions on the final lap, and Craig Cockrell finishes top of the Pro-Ams, with Lee Holmes making sure the deficit isn't too great, only finishing in 7th place, 1 point behind championship rivals. And then we've got Shane Piggott in 8th, Nick Clibbins in 9th. I think Andy McEwen finishing down in 10th place. I see Andy McEwen actually dropping down the standings just a touch towards the end, so that might be a little bit of a incident. Perhaps, I think he actually maybe just got caught out and was in the wrong place at the wrong time on the final lap. All the cars coming across the line now, so you know what that means, Alex? You have the wonderful job of running through the reverse grid spinning wheel.
Oh, yay, my favorite time of the stream. 3 times get to run this on the night. So here we go. The glamorous wheel is here, and we shall spin it to reveal that reverse grid for race 2 is going to be a reverse of the top 17 finishers from this race. So without further ado, we will run through the results of this opening race of the night here at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, Casper de Court, what a finish to the race. Him and Jason Cooper working together, and Casper de Court, that's going to be welcome news for him and his championship hopes. Finishing 2 positions ahead of 3rd place driver Adam McNally, who did a brilliant effort, wasn't it, to come all the way back from a lackluster qualifying the race. That was the Adam McNally we're used to seeing. Dave Chapman as well, another driver that had a very exciting and dramatic race, but getting involved with contact. 777 Adam Delmont, that will certainly be looked at after the race, might be an asterisk on that 4th place. James Clark for Swift Cooper finishing in 5th place, ahead of Craig Cockrell for Sim Tech in the Pro-Am class, taking top honours there ahead of Lee Holmes. Radiate Tech, Shane Piggott in 8th, Nick Clibbins 9th, Andy McEwen did finish in 10th place, rounding out the top 10 ahead of Adam Delmont, who did very well to recover from that earlier incident, up to 11th place ahead of Frank Vestner, Ryan Main, Duncan Cope, Liam Simpson, Michael Seal, Julian Schroer. The 444 will be starting from pole position. The rest grid of 17 means that will be his front row pole position start in the second race of the evening. Glenn Humberston narrowly missing out on glory for the reverse grid. He will be starting the second race in 18th place, just behind Casper de Court. They have Simon Robson, Andy Thompson, 20th place, ahead of Liam Silkstone, Harley Moss, Fiona Siddons, Craig Schill, Mark Oliver, Renato Campana, and Ashley Stimson, last of the finishing drivers, where several drivers, pretty much these most recent to Sam Smith, Lars Fisher, caught up in the same incident. Then obviously Brian Stewart, Douglas Stewart, and James Neve caught up in other incidents, not finishing the race either, not scoring any points. No drivers seem to be making their way in the interview waiting room, Alex. So I think we will go for a short break. We'll be back with plenty of action, though, and maybe a little bit of reaction from what was an exciting first of 4 races here on Absolute Sim Racing for the BSR SIM3D MX5 trophy here at Road Atlanta. Stay tuned, there's plenty more still to come.
We are dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust. Search but you stay lost. We are reaching for the stars, but we're making this too hard. And I wonder where you are. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Maybe you
Are you staring at an empty fridge right now?
Sometimes when you're here, I can feel no doubts, 'cause you keep me where the stars are found. It doesn't really matter, 'cause you're here with me now. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter, 'cause you're here with me now. It doesn't really matter, 'cause I feel so free now. It doesn't really matter. Sometimes when you're here, I can feel no doubts, 'cause you keep me where the stars are found. It doesn't really matter, 'cause you're here with me now. It doesn't really matter, 'cause I feel so free now. It doesn't really matter. Oh, you make me wanna talk back to you. Say it like that. If I hate you, then find someone new. Baby, but you know I never will. No, so I choke you down just like a pill. Oh yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Absolute Sim Racing, where the second race of the evening here at Road Atlanta is about to get underway. We had a great race last time out. For sure, some close fights, some amazing overtakes, and also its fair share of drama as well. And I think we're in for plenty more of that with a 17 reverse grid that's going to put Julian Schroer up towards the front of the grid on pole position and bring back down all the way back Casper de Court, who will start the next race in 17th place after winning first race here this evening. Alex, what are you expecting into the next race? Of course, reverse grids, Road Atlanta. You can make places up, but we did see it's very spicy out there.
Yeah, and as we mentioned earlier, it's a tricky track to overtake, very narrow. The S's coming down the hill out of turns 2 and 3. I'm going to say miraculously, saw no drivers get involved in too many incidents on the opening lap here, and we can only hope that it happens again, because it was very, very impressive getting all 30 cars through that complex of track, very tricky complex of track, all in one piece. Hopefully we see that again, but yeah, this is going to be a real interesting one. This is the part of the night, as we saw last time at a Red Bull Ring, where we see drivers coming through the field. That is going to be very exciting to watch.
Yeah, very exciting indeed. Julian Schroer then pole position ahead of Michael Seal. Front row ahead of Liam Stimpson, Duncan Cope, Brian Main, Frank Vestner. Yeah, the front 3 rows of the grid, all Pro-Am drivers. Adam Delmont staying in 7th place ahead of Andy McEwen, Nick Clemens, Shane Piggott, Lee Holmes, Craig Cockrell, James Clark, David Chapman, Adam McNally, Jason Cooper, and Race 1 Victor Casper de Court in 17th place. Alongside Glenn Humberston, Simon Robston, Andy Thompson, 20th ahead of Liam Silkstone, Harley Moss, Fiona Siddons, Craig Schill, Mark Oliver, Renato Campana, Ashley Stimpson, Sam Smith, Lars Fisher, Brian Stewart, Douglas Stewart, and James Neve. Rounding out 32 cars on the grid yet again for the second of 4 races here at Road Atlanta. The clock's ticking. The lights will be coming on very, very shortly. And the inside line for Julian Schroer. Dirtier side is Michael Seal. Going to get the jump into turn 1. Keep your eyes as well from Liam Stimpson, who tends to get away well. No tyre smoke coming off of that number 3, so keep your eyes peeled. He could look to go to the outside line, trying to get some toe off of a very storming Michael Seal, who on the rubbered in part of the circuit tries to sweep around the outside, but cold tyres, he can't do it. Drops back as Stimpson goes down the inside into 2nd place. And then, well, they're 2 abreast all the way back from essentially 10th down to, well, 32nd. As there's a little bit of bumping, a little bit of contact. I think that was DeCourt and Holmes having a little bit of bumping and barging together. We follow Harley Moss of Central Sim Sport, and there's been an incident further up the road. Cars peeling off left, right, and centre with damage. Duncan Cope into the pits. 197, that's his race over and done with, far too early for his liking. Pretty big damage, won't be seeing any more action. Julian Schroer could be getting overtaken here by Stimpson, who's had a very strong opening half a lap, already up into the lead now, but Michael Seal with a brilliant exit from turn 8. He really wants to try and maybe get into the slipstream if he can of Stimpson. Or is he already alongside? I think if he goes to the right-hand side, or stays over on the right-hand side, he should have a better run because he goes through the bend of turn 9. And down the hill, braking, slowing the car down while gravity works against you to turn 10A and 10B, then the right-hander before rising up the crest. Turns 11 and 12. 3 wide in the background, 4 wide as one of the cars gets sent off onto the inside line. That's Andy McEwen losing out, and dirt on his tyres. He's losing control slightly, but keeps it just for the moment. A little bit of a bump, a little bit of net between himself and Shane Piggott, swabbling into turn 1. Piggott round the outside, loses out to McEwen as there's contact in front and around down the inside. Delmont into the wall.
Oh, Adam Delmont was doing so well and drops down and down the order. What a great opening lap that was turning out to be for Adam Delmont, and it's just gone away. But there are another 2 races to go after this one. I'm sure Adam Delmont can fight back in them. Nick Clibbins, actually, one of the big movers so far. 5 places gained up to 4th place. Brilliant start to the race for him. 14 places gained. The biggest mover of the opening lap from James Neve down in 18th position. Fantastic start to the race for himself. But our leader of the race right now, Liam Stimpson, and we can actually see what happened to Duncan Cope on that first lap now. Hit the curb a bit too hard and it just sent the car around, and there's no recovering from that. It's just one of those where, oh, and there was another car went off as well. I couldn't quite make
Simon
out.
Robson, the number 17.
Robson, yeah.
It was a spin in sympathy more than anything else. So now we come back to live pictures. This is the battle for the lead of the race. Liam Stimpson having to cover off the inside as Michael Seal trying to storm around the outside to then get the inside through 10A. They go. Look at Stimpson. He really sends it into the corner, parks it on the apex of 10B. Actually gets a decent exit as well, so good stuff from Liam Stimpson. But all the while now through the final bend and up towards the first corner, you can see that Seal is going to get in the slipstream, get that lovely toe, that extra little bit of speed, those extra few kilometres an hour. Is down the inside. Look who's going for a move as well. That's Nick Clibbins. Oh, I thought for a moment Nick Clibbins was going to shoot off into the lead of the race. So he gets up into 2nd place. And now it's Simtech 1-2, but can they lock it out? Because him behind, so many cars are lining up to try and get involved on the action. You see Main and McEwen, teammates, fighting between the pair of them. Main has to concede positions. Through goes Andy, who's been having a really good race so far. The first 2 races have gone swimmingly for Andy. You don't want to curse him too badly, because, well, what was it in that first race? He's shown great racecraft to stay out of trouble. I'm going to keep saying it. Don't want to curse him. There's Nick Clibbins. Oh, is he forced slightly wide? There's a little look down the inside from Seal that might have upset the rhythm just a touch. Trying to find as well, actually, where are the big hitters? Where are the drivers that were up towards the front? Jason Cooper is, well,
11th place, Jason. And Casper Decourt, our race. Yeah, and Casper Decourt, our race 1 winner. 15th at the moment, only 2 places gained. Is making men's meet with Glenn Humberston at the moment, but we must revert to the front as Nick Clibbins has taken the lead in the race here. We'll just get a quick replay of that.
Oh, let's have a look. I think McEwen is going side by side with Schroer in the background as well. Let's have a look at Nick Clibbins here. Down the inside, cuts the corner nicely, gets away with it. And then if we shift back, has McEwen got through on Julian Schroer? Yes, he has. Great move from Andy McEwen. I think that was around the outside. Coming out of turn 10B, going over the crest. So good move. And Andy McEwen's going to take another place there. As wide off the circuit from 2nd place. That's a 6th. Simpson makes a mistake, makes an error into the first corner. So easy to do when you just overcook it, when you're fighting the car, overdriving it just a touch too much. And I'm plummeting down the order. And now with Chapman in behind, there's a spinner in the background. Please don't touch anyone. Who was that? I think that was Holmes. Thankfully, no one gets collected, but there is a collection up in front as Clibbins is now off the track, and that was from the lead of the race. Clibbins way down. That's damage. Can he nurse that to the end of the race, or is it all over?
Let's take a look. We did see an incident for Lee Holmes. We'll watch that quickly first. Through the S's, contact, and a look, oh, that was definitely netcode. Oh, just about misses the 227 car of Sam Smith, but not too much loss for Lee Holmes apart from the positions on track. And this is the spin from Nick Clibbins. What an awesome race he was having, and that is race ending contact with the wall there. Such a shame for Nick, it was going so well, and these curbs here at Road Atlanta live by reputation. Really unlucky end to Nick Clibbins' race, but it is Michael Seal out in front at the moment, just keeping his nose clean, and Andrew McEwen, first of the pro category drivers, 2nd place for him with 6 places gained. As you mentioned, in race 1 he did rather well, fighting off a lot of attacking cars, and in this race he is the attacker.
Yeah, I think as well, Andy, actually last night they have Monday races that are a bit of fun, but also a good bit of practice for the drivers. And Andy McEwen, I believe, actually took the victory in one of them. I'm not sure, but I was just checking back through the messages last night, and it seems to be Andy McEwen was very pleased with his efforts last time out. He could be trying to repeat that on the night where it all accounts for championship points, as McEwen is only, well, half a second back from McEwen as they're squabbling in behind. Stimpson and Chapman fighting firmly. Is going to be good news to Andy. You can see those cars getting smaller and smaller in his rearview mirrors as they squabble into turn 7 and then 8 inside for Chapman going through. As off the track, there goes Julian Schroer, pole sitter, and that was coming together. You see on the inside there is an overlap. Was it a bit too maybe
it was with
excitable? It was Casper de Court, yeah, it's just a bit much from down the inside. Casper de Court isn't going to vanish, but was he sending it unreasonably? Was Julian Schroer perhaps trying to cover up the inside too much and turn in too early? Could be chopped down as a racing incident. There's up in front, there's an incident in the racing. Andy McEwen with Michael Seal looking for a switchback manoeuvre. The cars lines coming over across with one another. This was it. It was actually partly down to the back marker, so there was already contact. There was a second bit of contact, and I think it was partly all kicked off by just the presence of Simon Robson. He wasn't doing anything malicious, staying way over to the left hand or the right hand side of the track, and a pair of them coming to blows, but with a big healthy advantage now. McEwen 2 seconds clear of Stimpson in third, and that gap might only begin to increase as McNally can see the chance of a podium here.
Yeah, this is yet another stellar drive from Adam McNally, swiping a penalty at the last moments of race 1, and yet again having a good one here. 11 places gained, almost dragged along Jason Cooper as well, right behind the two, following each other through the traffic. Casper de Court up into 7th place despite the incident earlier on, and that it was Shane Piggott on his inside. The only thing between Casper and Jason Cooper, his teammate, is Shane Piggott here holding proceedings right now, but it is just a crocodile of MX5s here, down to as far as, I think that's 12th position we can see as far back to. Brilliant racing from these drivers, and look at how effective they're trying to make
for the lead. McEwen's going for it on Michael Steele. They're starting to cut across you, but look at this. McEwen round the out. It was so easy, effortless. The slipstream was so strong for Andy McEwen. I think Michael Steele realised that and backed out of it. And there's contact for 3rd place. Oh, and Adam McNally has gotten through into 4th, stayed 4th. Oh, mains off. Oh my word, what's going on? Somehow Jason Cooper is in 3rd. Craig Cockrell's out of proceedings. After being in the lead just earlier on in the race, let's not forget the 5-minute mark, he was leading. All of a sudden, breaks out of it. All of this has suddenly come out, and Dave Chapman yet again involved in the incident, forced wide off of the circuit, going down on the inside. And 3 cars all fighting for one apex. That was never going to work.
It was 4 going for one apex by the look of it. It was, yeah, that was never going to work. It's definitely one for the stewards to look at later, drivers to be made aware after the race what they can and can't do when it comes to battling into tight corners like that. And it was just one of those that it just wasn't going to work. And who was going to yield? This is a spin. I think that's Glenn Humberstone and Adam Delmont again on his roof.
There's no coming back from that from Delmont. He's going to have to tow into the pits.
In the middle of the track, and thankfully gets it away just in time. Let's get another quick replay of Glenn Humberstone and Adam Delmont coming together. Is Humberstone in front of the two? Gets a bit out of shape coming out of the corner, pops over the hill, and that was it. Adam Delmont was almost a passenger in that, but Glenn Humberstone's able to get away with that, and Adam Delmont is not. He'll feel hard done by that, and it wasn't a particularly good first race either for Delmont, so not a good night for him. But the battling presses on, Ed.
3 wide into turn 10A, 10B. They somehow keep it nice and clean. I think they've learned from what they saw just up the road and decided to give each other a little bit more space. Maybe some drivers conceding the positions. Frank Vestner, Team Gonzo, the 333, stays ahead. But look who's closed in on the front two. Jason Cooper's getting involved as we're going to follow Shane Piggott now down the inside of Stimpson. Stimpson hanging it around the outside, getting a good run up the crest, but has the back out coming into turns 2 and 3. And like we said just earlier, look who's arrived on the scene for the battle of the race leaders. Jason Cooper has clawed back so much time Andy McEwen. He thought maybe he'd be able to hang on to the lead of the race, maybe just focus on having to keep one car behind. Now he's going to have two very hungry drivers looking for the race victory. Jason Cooper is the driver who has got the most race victories out of anyone so far this season. Let's not forget that little stat. 12 race victories to Jason's name from the about 30 races he will have entered now after this one. Can he make it 13 race victories down through both of them, to be fair. Jason getting a lovely double slipstream into Santana 10B. He's going to have it sealed on the inside. McEwen trying to fight his way through. Does fight his way through past Michael Seal. Don't forget as well Adam McNally. He's going to be having a real impetus to get some good strong points out of this, considering Casper de Court, main championship rival, isn't really having the best of races.
I mean, we saw Jason Cooper, how easy he made that. We're just seeing an instant here involving Frank Vesna and
far
Liam
too late from
Stinson.
Liam.
Yeah, far too late. And Vesna, you won't be pleased about that. That's one of those that you're just braking regularly into the corner, entering the corner as normal, and all of a sudden, whack, on the rear. And they're the ones you hate most in racing. But very unfortunate. Not an end to Vesna's race. Keeps going in 15th place. But we revert back to the front. And as I was mentioning, Jason Cooper, he just made that overtake look so easy on McEwen and Seal. As we see McNally past Michael Seal now, and again, this is similar to the first race where it's not their fight. The Pro-Am drivers mix it in with the Pro drivers. This isn't Michael Seal's fight. He is first at the Pro-Am category by a fairly convincing gap over Sam Smith in 7th place overall. But what's he do here? Does he go for more points? If he can get more points, that is. Or he's just trying to have a fun.
He's going to try and maximise this as much as he can. Let's not forget the AM Championship is going to be very close after this. Craig Cockrell was leading the championship in Pro-Ams by tune of about 100 points as Anakin goes for a half look down the inside of Jason Cooper just to let him know he's there, and it's going to be coming through on the final lap as Michael Seal holds the inside line up against McNally, back up into 3rd place. Yeah, Michael is going to really want to try and gain some things. Craig Cockrell, main championship rival in the Pro-Ams, is scoring a big fat nil in this second race. We're finishing in 3rd place. That'll bag him a healthy sum of points and able to close that gap right down to well under 50. So don't count Michael Seal out just yet. He's going to be racing hard. He knows what's at stake. This could be a real turning point in the Pro-Am standings, as well as for Jason Cooper, maybe with drop rounds, so he can get his championship back on track. Let's have a look at an incident involving, getting pushed and the net code happens.
And it's another incident involving Liam Stimson.
I think it's...
dear.
And Liam Stimson doesn't get out of the way in time. Fiona Siddons caught up there.
Casper de Court has had an incident on this front straight here. A lot of damage on the car, and it is with the rejoining cars by the looks of it. Casper de Court, the winner of race 1, collected in another incident.
Now, Casper de Court going to have to tow into the pits. This could still be him finishing a lap down, and he'll score points. It won't be many points, but it will still be points on the board. As through the final corner comes Jason Cooper, rising up the crest, falling all the way back down once more. Michael Seal on the final lap has been able to snatch 2nd place from Andy McEwen.
He's in the pits. Andrew McEwen's in the pits, yeah.
Has Andy gone into the pit lane? Did he have a penalty that he has to serve? What has gone on with Andy? Jason Cooper comes across the line to take the race victory. Well done for Jason, fighting up through the field, making 15 places. Andy McEwen into the pits. What on earth happened to Andy there? He's come across the line in 4th place. He's come back out.
That's strange. He's still classified as 4th at the moment. It's almost like a Michael Schumacher kind of race ending, that is.
Maybe he served a drive-through penalty on the final lap, maybe by a technicality. He's gotten away with it. We'll find out, though, with the official classification of the results when all drivers have come across the line. I think Andy has finished fourth. Maybe we'll get some insight later on in the evening as to what on earth happened there. But that is not going to take away from Jason Cooper and his victory. But as the drivers have come across the line, we will find out where Jason Cooper will be starting on account of the reverse grid spinning wheel.
And for race 3 tonight, the reverse grid is going to be 17 again. A repeat of 17 for the reverse grid for race 3. So without further ado, we will go through the results of this race, race 2 here at Road Atlanta.
There's another 17 reverse grid. Jason Cooper then. 5-Star Motorsport coming out on top, ahead of Michael Seal by half a second. Adam McNally finishes in third. And sad to say, it's not Andy McEwen in fourth. Apparently there was contact in the final lap between McNally and McEwen that gave McEwen a black flag. So that's going to be interesting, especially if Adam McNally seems to have caused that contact and it's protested. That could definitely be looked at by the stewards. James Clark in fourth place, ahead of Lars Fisher. Sam Smith in sixth place. James Neve finishing seventh, ahead of Shane Piggott. Lee Hunt and Liam Silkstone, who rounds out top 10 in what was a very crazy and chaotic second race. David Chapman, for all the action he was involved in, he was only able to muster up an 11th place finish. Ahead of Glenn Humberston, Julian Schroer, Frank Vestner, Harley Moss. Some consolation for Andy McEwen is that he will be starting on the front row of the third race in 16th place, ahead of finishing ahead of Renato Campana, who will start next race from pole position. Mark Oliver, 18th place, ahead of Nick Clibbins, with Douglas Stewart 20th. And actually, just having a look through, Fiona Simmons does finish that race even with contact and inevitable spits on the final lap, along with Craig Schill. Casper de Court finishes as well, scores at least some points, ahead of 66 Ryan Main, Liam Silkstone, and then drivers non-finishing Simon Robson, Adam Delmont. Bitterly disappointing for the XI Racing driver, who's just not having anything go his way this evening. Brian Stewart, 29th, Craig Cockrell, Ashley Stimpson, Duncan Cope, and Andy Thompson, all non-finishers. That was one heck of a second race. No drivers lining up to have a word with either of us, Alex. So I think it's time for us to get going and head for another short break, with all of the action still to come, though, on Absolute Sim Racing. Next two races are ones you really don't want to miss. So keep it tuned to Absolute Sim Racing.
Cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. It's black and white. Love, no more, baby. It's black and white, just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh. 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 It's black and white. Black and white.
back is bringing little flames in the fire that keeps burning. We're inviting the night in. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Absolute Sim Racing, and what a second race we were treated to, where Jason Cooper took top honours. Right towards the very end of the race was where Jason was able to make up those final few places on his charge, up 15 to first. A 5-star performance from the 5-star motorsport driver, who shows that his championship is not over yet, even though he missed a couple of rounds and is definitely feeling the effects of it. Drop rounds, of course, coming into effect later on, could change everything in the championship. Michael Seal as well, for his championship hopes in the Pro-Am category. It's a very good job for him, getting up into second place, considering one of his main rivals, Craig Cockrell, did not finish, scored 0 points. Then there was a scoreboard between Andy McEwen and Adam McNally for third place. Adam McNally winning out on that occasion, but a little bit of a question mark hang over because there was contact between McEwen and McNally. McEwen having to take it to the pit lane, serving a black flag penalty for too many incident points. So if that's protested, me and Alex were speculating on what that could mean if Adam McNally could get penalised and drop back as a result. Thing hasn't changed, of course, about Andy McEwen finished in 16th place, but with a 17 reverse grid. That means he's starting on the second row and with a very good shot of coming through for the overall race victory, as long as he comes into turn one. He comes out of turn one unscathed. The cars making their way up to the grid now. Alto Campana from pole position. Andy McEwen alongside him on the front row, as we just mentioned. Harley Moss then in third, ahead of Frank Bessner. Julian Schreier fifth. Glenn Humberston sixth. Dave Chapman in seventh, ahead of Liam Silkstone. Lee Holmes and Shane Piggott rounding out the top 10. They go down to James Neve, Sam Smith, Lars Fisher, James Clark, Adam McNally, Michael Seal, Jason Cooper, starting in 17th place after winning the second race. Ahead of Mark Oliver, Nick Clibbins, Douglas Stewart, Fiona Siddons, Craig Schill, Casper DeCourt, Ryan Main, Simon Robson, Adam Delmont, Brian Stewart, Craig Cockrell, Ashley Simpson, Duncan Cope, and Andy Thompson. It's 31 cars that made their way to the starting blocks for the third race of the evening. We've hit the halfway point already. 2 more races to go. Races 3 and 4, of course, upcoming. This is the third race, and it's about to get underway with Renato Campana on board. It's a decent enough getaway, but I think Andy McEwen is going to get the jump into turn one. Car bogs down slightly for Renato. He's trying to cover off Andy, who's already there, trying to get in the slipstream. Is able to get it out, actually, so I thought Renato Campana lost out slightly, but it was actually a great start from himself, ahead of Andy McEwen. Someone exits stage left. Not sure who that was. Frank Bessner, it seems, to Team Gonzo Racing with an error into turn one. Cold tyres overcooking it slightly. There's another Team Gonzo car, and that's Julian Schroer dropping back down through the order with a slowdown penalty. Almost certainly to serve by cutting through the corners. Renato Campana from the lead of the race off the circuit. Is that cold tyres or was there contact?
Oh, there's a lot going on. Oh, it's right in front of Andy Thompson. Spin from Simon Robson. Simon Robson's having a terrible night. And a lot of incidents in the middle part of the S's here. A lot of cars coming together, and we were waiting for that, weren't we, Ed? 2 races we went without it. It was going to happen eventually, and sadly it's happened for a lot of drivers down here. We'll try and get a recap of them very, very shortly once lap 1 shenanigans are over. But Andy McEwen, although a penalty which dropped him down a lot of points, a lot of positions in race 2, he's out in front here and is developing a bit of a lead already.
Yeah, definitely is. Moss and Chapman fight together. Chapman down the inside. You usually bet on David to get that position done, which he does. A slight correction on the exit. Carl is still not up to the temperatures, but now only a second gap to Andy McEwen. these two drivers relatively equal on pace, which means we have a great fight for the lead that is certainly going to brew with Chapman getting into the slipstream as in behind. Oh, there's a driver dropping back in again. It's Julian Strower. Terrible, terrible start, dropping back 11 places, possibly even 12 as Main sweeping around the outside. Coming up the hill, takes that position. From bad to worse from Julian Strower, unfortunately. Just gets thrown out of position. And you know what? There's contact. And I think Strower, it's gone from bad to worse to just plain old catastrophic. 444. Now I think things might be coming down. We can have a look at some replays. That was the incident. That was the contact.
Just a big lunge up the inside. Just wasn't going to happen. Yeah, just misjudged that. Thought the door was open, but didn't quite happen. And it's sadly compromised a few drivers' races. But they press on with a bit of damage, granted, but they press on.
I think he got drawn into it because Stroher was very slow coming out of turn 1 and was drawn into making the move that wasn't really on. The pace difference can be deceiving, especially into the braking zone. Speaking of going into the braking zone, you can see Chapman weaving left and right. Which way is he going to go? Playing a bit of mind games with Andy McEwen perhaps, but now into the stop zone, the braking zone for turn 10A. Andy McEwen is going to try and get a cutback manoeuvre if he can. Opens out the corner. That doesn't really bite it. And sees the position, maybe thinks about the bigger picture, thinks about gap to Glenn Humberston, which is well over 2 seconds. No slipstream from Glenn at all, getting up towards Andy McEwen. So instead, he's going to have to focus firmly behind him on Holmes, on Fisher, on Silkstone, all fighting their way through. Look at Silkstone down the inside, trying to find a way past Holmes, isn't able to do it, but stays ahead of Lars Fisher.
Let's just mention Glenn Humberston for a moment here. 3rd place at the moment. His nearest rival in the AM category is 22nd. Oh, there's a rollover for Liam Silkstone.
Whoa! That is a huge incident. I hope Liam is not in the VR because it's flipped over not once, not twice, not thrice, but well over probably 5 times. Let's have a look. 1 roll, 2, no, maybe it was 2 rolls, 3 rolls, and a sad 4th up on the roof.
Just another shot of that. That was Lars Fischer on the inside. And it was just one of those where Lars Fischer came up the inside quicker than anticipated. And, well, it's definitely one for the stewards to look at after. We say that about most incidents, but that was a very, very difficult
going to be busy.
one. Yeah, they're going to be, definitely. It's Road Atlanta at the end of the day. But, yeah, that's definitely a shame for Liam Silkstone, running very well up in the high standings here. But a lot of weaving going on from Dave Chapman here, trying to break the slipstream here. I mean, if we think back to the Brazilian Grand Prix, Max Verstappen got told off for weaving. I don't know if Dave Chapman might be done the same here, but he holds the position ahead of McEwen still.
I think McEwen isn't really looking to make the move. I think he's just waiting in behind, trying to build up that gap to then start fighting in the final 5 minutes, because up and behind, I think, well, the drivers have resigned themselves to fighting for 3rd place. They realise the front 2 are getting away with it. It's McEwen who's actually gotten into the lead while all this is gone. We're going to follow this fight. No, we're not. We're going to follow Andy McEwen because he could get caught by Chapman. Now we're going back to Lee Holmes. There's contact, and Humberston is going to try and fight up into 3rd place if he can. No slots in behind. And McNally realises he's still in with a good shot of trying to close that championship gap to his nearest rival, Casper de Court. He's still finishing ahead of him at this rate, but maybe only just by a few places. Fisher looking to fight with McNally isn't getting ahead that time through. And you can see all the 5-star motorsports have actually helped each other out a decent stretch. Jason Cooper, Casper de Court, 9th and 10th. We'll talk about the drive from Casper de Court, up 13 places so far this race, starting all the way towards the back. Definitely a good recovery drive from the Dutchman. But then let's go to the front as we see a sliding number 13 of Nick Clibbins. Let's go to the front and watch Andy McEwen try and defend, if he can, from Dave Chapman.
Down the main straight here again, alongside goes Dave Chapman and past. I wonder if this is a bit of a tactic where they're just going to swap and change positions whilst drafting.
Whoa!
But no, McEwen late on the brakes, straight back in front through the chicane. Fantastic late braking and made the corner look so easy there. Brilliant, brilliant retake from McEwen.
You can see the weight transfer was so good through the chicane. He's got that car setup absolutely dialed into perfection.
You're going to tell everyone your secret here, Ed, as we see another move from Dave Chapman on the inside of turn 1 here. back in front goes Dave Chapman, but please do reveal your secret, Ed. Please do.
Well, I've had it on good authority from the man himself that Andy McEwen has switched setups between race 1 and race 2, and he's now using a setup that I gave him a little bit earlier on in the season. Seems to be definitely working towards his favour, towards his driving style and suiting this road Atlanta circuit. Chapman and McEwen, though, they're trading blows, aren't they? They're overtaking, they're undertaking one another.
We have Glenn Humberston, who's running in high positions. He's had an incident here, running in 3rd place, and his contact with the 107 car of Lars Fischer.
It's that corner again.
Yep, that notorious corner, and that sends Glenn Humberston down to 20th place. Still, believe it or not, first in the AM category, but only by a bit ahead of Simon Robson now. So back down the pecking order of what was looking like a very good night for Humberston.
These two are still going at it. Now it's Chapman's turn to go down the inside, but isn't as confident on the brakes as Andy was the lap before. And again, coming through 10-10A 10B in the lead. But for how long can he keep this up? It's difficult to imagine where you'd want to be on the final lap, because Andy McEwen has shown that he can defend but also attack very well, but Chapman as well shows that he can make the passes, make the moves himself. So it's all going to come down, I think, to just pure racecraft, pure driving ability. Just look at them go side by side, 2 by 2 through the first corner. Cooper and Cooper trying to find a way through. It does ahead of Clark. Then look at Alan Fisher as well. Nose the tail down through the S's. Jason Cooper piling the pressure on James Clark as well. And just see how close all the cars are racing together with one another. That's what's so great about this Road Atlanta circuit and these MX5s. It always gives us some of the best racing in the BSR calendar. Look at how much they're moving around on the circuit, trying to fend one another off. Lars Fischer right on the back of Adam McNally, forcing him to go defensive, forcing him to take unconventional lines into the braking zone, just by virtue of how close he is in behind and the runs he gets out of the corners. Then we'll come to the front. This fight between Chapman and McEwen. Chapman this time a lot closer down the inside, nose in front. McEwen lifts out of it. You can see he isn't really wanting to fight just yet.
I think they are working together, you know. They are stretching away from the pack behind. They know they're battling quite intensely, and I think they are using each other's draft to stretch away from this pack.
On the last lap, Lee Holmes did catch them up, though. Was quicker by, well, about half a second, perhaps. So maybe it would be best if they didn't chop and change so much. Instead, maybe stayed in order, stayed in behind. McEwen knows how strong the slipstream is. Maybe he'll prefer being on that final lap in second place for the time being. Adam McNally.
And Lars Fischer with a slight... Lars Fischer with a slight...
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, Lars Fischer on the inside of Adam McNally there, and I saw a slight stab of the brake there to just make sure he doesn't make contact with Adam McNally there. Very, very close racing between these two. No quarter given. And Adam McNally up to 4th in category, 5th overall. And Adam just running in the high positions here. He did the same in race 1. Got himself up to the podium. Was in podium contention in race 2, and he might be doing the same again here. And look at Lars Fischer just weaving across the track again. Not really sure what he's trying to do there.
It's mind games. That's all mind games from Lars Fischer. He's not taking the optimal line to try and go for an overtake. Instead, he's weaving left, weaving right, filling the rearview mirrors, maybe trying to force a mistake from Adam McNally, but Adam is so good at keeping his head down and getting on with the task at hand. He isn't prone to making those sorts of errors. Tell you what though, Jason Cooper on the last lap did get ahead, did get into 4th place, and such is his pace. Even in clear air, he can try and work on closing up to the cars in front, but look at Lars Fischer diving down the inside and rising over the crest, now into 5th place. But McNally with a good run out of turn 10B all the way down through turns 11 and 12. He's sure he's fancying a move into the first corner, right up the inside, going to force the issue. He's forced wide onto the grass, and all of a sudden around the outside there is contact. There's a bit of bumping and barging. I think that might have been a bit overzealous from Casper de Court to try that move, to try and force McNally so close, so tight. And you can see he's come off a lot worse for wear. Rejoins the circuit, maybe somewhat questionably with Harley Moss, who, credit to him, doesn't make the incident any worse than it needs to be. I don't know, though, what you make of that one, Alex, because for me it looked like it was an issue of just, I don't know, I think Casper de Court was trying to force Adam McNally too tight to the corner, and when there was contact side by side, we're going to see it here.
Oh, it's... Could Adam have gone closer to the apex?
He's following the tracks of the car ahead.
Yeah, and should Casper have come into the corner that much? Not too sure. It's a tricky one to call, that one. It's a tricky one. But on this track, we were mentioning de Court's rejoin there. Where do you rejoin on that part of the track? It's so difficult. But back towards the battle for fifth, it's still raging on between Lars Fischer and Adam McNally, both with beautiful liveries, I'm going to comment. But the Excite driver back into fifth place. 10 places gained for him. What a night Adam McNally is having. A few incidents here and there, but to be honest, it's Road Atlanta. I've said it twice tonight and I'll say it again.
It's such a track. I actually really do like the paint job on the 5 Star Motorsport cars. It's got almost like a two-tone, slightly satin feel to it with the silver. McNally, though, doesn't care to admire the paint job. He wants to see it in behind him. Wants to make sure that he's looking at the front end of Adam McNally, of Lars Fischer from the rearview mirror, not the rear bumper from the front window, which he does do. Adam McNally back up into fifth place, losing touch slightly though to Jason Cooper as we are going towards the lower pitch. Look at how much he sends it over the exit curve at turn 5, realises that's not the quickest way to go through that corner, has to go defensive. Focuses now on keeping the 107 way in behind. And of course, McNally is very much acutely aware, I think, of the fact that Casper de Court, championship rival, is further back down the order now in 9th place following their coming together through turn 1 on the previous lap. Up towards the front as well, it's all kicking off for the lead. It's kicking off as well at the back, but let's have a look. Dave Chapman and McEwen. I think there was a little look from McEwen. Chapman very loose on the rear, overworked his tyres a touch perhaps. Could be starting to feel the pressure from Andy McEwen's assault for the lead. Look at that though, sweeping around the outside. What an overtake from Lars Fischer. Set it up beautifully through the chicane, gets a brilliant drilling drive up the hill and up into fifth place goes 5 Star Motorsport driver Lars Fischer, helping his teammate out as well by taking points away crucially from Adam McNally's Dave Chapman and McEwen. This is it, the final lap. They're squabbling up through turn 3, squabbling down through turn 4 and into the S's. I'm not sure which way to call this. If Andy McEwen stays as close as he is through the S's coming out of turn 7, turn 8, he is definitely a candidate for the race victory. I think Chapman is going to be aware of that.
Certainly is. I mean, second place as we come on to the main straight. You can tell McEwen is just waiting for it. Dave Chapman's got to be cunning here. He knows that McEwen is going to go past, but he has to set his car up in a certain position on the track so he can try and retake McEwen. And the timing of his braking has got to be to perfection for both of these drivers, to be fair. But here we go, down the final straight here, the final lap of this race, Ed.
This is it. This is what we're waiting for. This fight has been going on all race long. It's been Chapman, it's been McEwen only at the front. And now it is this final chance for McEwen to snatch the race lead. He's so late on the race through here. Does he have that confidence late on the race when the tyres are worn? He parks it on the apex, gets right in front of Dave Chapman. Is it enough on the exit? Slightly squirrely. He's going to have to hold the inside line, try and fend off David Chapman through the final bend now. Is it going to be Andy McEwen to take his first race victory of the season off the circuit? Chapman tries but isn't able to do it. Andy McEwen takes the race victory. Lee Holmes in the background, almost snatching second as well. Cracking drive from the Pro-Am to finish third. But Andy McEwen, you can tell how much he was excited to get that race victory. Immediately dives it into the wall. Let's have a look at that once more. They all fight together, nose to tail. Andy McEwen, I mean, Dave Chapman tries to go for the inside. Andy McEwen holds firm. So Dave Chapman is like, right, I'm going to try and overtake off the track.
But will Dave Chapman get a slowdown for that?
No, I think he might have gotten away with that. I don't think you can get a slowdown through that corner. In fact, I think it might have slowed him up more than anything else, and that could have opened the door for Lee Holmes to get through. But well, what a dramatic finish! It's never ever Andy McEwen's race victory by a comfortable margin. He's quite often won races by very, very small amounts, nose to tail. It's a fair for the third race. Andy McEwen is going to be very, very pleased with that, especially after the setback. Let's not forget in race 2, where he was dropped out of the podium places on account of accruing too many incident points for just getting a tap up the rear into the final chicane. And I think after, or maybe just to let us breathe a bit, we need to go for the reverse grid spinning wheel.
Absolutely. It's a good time to calm down. The spinning wheel calms us all down, just prepares us nicely for the drama that's yet to come. So the soothing spin of the wheel and our reverse grid. I hope it's not 17 again. It is a bit more. It's 25 for the reverse grid of race 4 coming up.
So 25th place will find itself on pole position. That is, of course, 25th place driver is eligible for the reverse grid. Just a refresher of the rules. To qualify for reverse grid pole position, you need to be scoring points, and to score points, you need to finish no more than 1 lap down. 1 lap down is fine. 2 laps down or more, you are out of contention for the reverse grid pole, and also not scoring any points, but scoring a maximum of 100 points for the first time this season is Andy McEwen, the number 4 for Year One Racing, tasting the top step of the podium ahead of David Chapman. Time for car just 700ths shy of that race victory. Lee Holmes going through in 3rd in the Pro-Am class. You could see he was waiting for the opportunity. Maybe with 1 more lap, Lee could have challenged for the victory, but still a 3rd place is nothing to be ashamed of. Cracking effort from him. Then Jason Cooper, he had a great drive as well, making up 13 places to finish in 4th, ahead of Adam McNally, who crucially closes the gap down to his championship rivals in the overall and pro class. Lars Fischer finishing 6th, Casper de Court finishing 7th. Damage limitation after the incident into turn 1. How many times have we said that today? Sam Smith finishing in 8th place, 2nd of the Pro-Am drivers, ahead of Adam Delmont, Shane Piggott, Harley Moss, 3rd, rounding out the Pro-Am podium. James Neve 12th, Ryan Main, Douglas Stewart, Duncan Cope, Julian Schreier, James Clark, and then Glenn Humberston, rounding our top step of the AMs, ahead of Simon Robson, another AM, Mike Oliver, 3rd AM on the podium. Then we have Craig Schill, Ashley Stimpson, Nick Clibbins, Michael Seal, who is the last driver to be eligible for the reverse grid pole position. So it will be, for all intents and purposes, a full reverse grid. Michael Seal starting from pole position. 25th place, Brian Stewart finishes 6 laps down, does not score points, does not get that reverse grid pole position. Ahead of Liam Silkstone, also not scoring points. Fiona Siddons, Frank Bessner, Arthur Campana, Andy Thompson, and Craig Cockrell. Well, that was a very, very dramatic race. Third race has absolutely flown by. Can't see, actually. Oh, yes, I can. You know what? Let us bring in race victor for the first time this season. Andy McEwen joins us in the comms box in maybe much better spirits than we would have found you after race 2. You've come back and you've got the all-important race victory.
Well, you see, it was all just part of the plan. You see, I didn't want to start at the back of the grid for race 3, so I thought I'd just pit on the last lap, and I'm a bit psychic. You see, I knew I'd end up on the front row, so yeah, I know it looked like I got a black flag, and that would be a bad thing, but yeah, it was all just part of the big plan.
All part of the big plan, and I guess it was also that second race was a bit of a testing one, wasn't it, for you? Because you swapped setups, and turns out, or wherever you got that setup from, it must have been from someone who knew what they were talking about.
You are one of the most modest people I've ever met, Ed. Yes, a long time ago I did manage to bribe Ed into sharing his setup with me because he was quicker than me, and I actually didn't get on with the setup at first, but I was struggling to keep the car in a straight line in race 1, so I thought, desperate times and all that, I'll give Ed's setup a go, and yeah, turns out he actually knows a thing or two about setting a car up, because yeah, I was quite quick after that.
Yeah, lethal on the first lap, but you got through that difficult phase, and from then on out, it was you and Dave. And talk us through the fight, because there was a time where we saw you squabbling all the time, then you calmed down, and then it erupted again at the end.
Well, so I thought Dave might have been messing around with me a bit, because as I'm sure you know, Dave and I are really good friends. So I thought, you know, he's seeing an opportunity to mess around with me here and frustrate me a little bit. But then he started to put some good laps together, and I thought, hang on, I'm going to have to actually try to keep up with him here. And I thought he was going to get away, but yeah, I don't know. I got back onto his tail on the last lap, and yeah, he fought me hard through the last few corners. I thought he was going to bounce off the curb into me on the last turn, and that might have damaged our friendship. But yeah, kept it clean, and it was so nice to have a fight with him. I've never really had a proper fight for the win with him in BSR before, so that was nice.
Yeah, definitely. Probably makes it all that much sweeter when it is a good mate that you're fighting with for your first victory of the season as well. Congrats, Andy. It's amazing, really. This is so late in the season that you've got your first win, because you've been looking very strong. Just watch you a bit unlucky, but maybe you can go through a bit of a purple patch in the final few rounds coming up.
I mean, that would be nice, yeah. And you got to see this one as well, because, of course, my first ever win last season was the one race of the year that wasn't broadcast. So I trust everyone saw it this time, and yeah, I hope I put on a show for them.
Yeah, you can share it around. Make sure to mute it, though, so you don't hear me and Alex wailing on about it.
Naturally.
Congratulations, Andy. And I know you have an exhaustive list of people you want to thank, but I'm sure you've got some people still to shout out. So the floor is yours, mate.
Oh, blimey. Okay. Actually, do you know what? I am going to shout out to my mum. I'm sure she's not watching tonight. She normally would, but my mum's actually recently moved to France, so I haven't seen her for about 5-6 months or so. And she drove back into the UK today, and I'm seeing her for the first time tomorrow. So yeah, I'll have some good news to tell her for once. And yeah, I know that when she gets the chance, she watches along as well. So on the off chance she's watching tonight, then yeah, hello.
Well, hello as well to Andy's mum. Hope you enjoyed the show, and hope you enjoyed Andy getting his first race victory of the season. I know me and Alex definitely enjoyed it in the comms box. Your fight with Dave Chapman was brilliant to behold, Andy. But thank you for joining us in the comms box. We've got to shoot off because I think the fourth race is fast approaching, and we'll see you then, mate.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Where am I starting this one? I haven't seen.
It's a 25 reverse grid, but 24 cars eligible, so you're starting way at the back.
Excellent.
Have fun.
News. Thank you for that, mate.
No worries, enjoy it. Take care. And with that, Andy exits the comms box. Alex, and we do need to get a bit of a move on, because I think the next race is fast approaching in about 5 minutes' time, so we're going to go for a short break. The final race for reverse grid is upcoming, so stay tuned to Absolute Sim Racing for all of that action that's come.
We are dreaming.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Absolute Sim Racing. And, well, what a sim race. We were treated to Andy McEwen taking his first race victory of the season. Made all the more sweeter because it was a great fight between himself and a good friend of his as well. Just see if we can find him on the track. Can't seem to find him at the moment. Where on earth is Dave Chapman? Somewhere on the circuit. But anyway, it was a great fight between Andy McEwen and Dave Chapman. Andy McEwen just winning out on this occasion, even with Dave trying to take to the grass to get it out of the line. And then there was a brilliant fight as well from Lee Holmes, trying to get in the mix, but he only finished third place, but still took top honours in Pro-Am as well. However, with a full reverse grid, it was a 25 reverse grid, but only 24 cars eligible. So Michael Seal, who we expect to see on pole position, a driver that we actually saw fighting for the race lead, the race victory in the second race, could be his second chance for glory here, and his only chance at Road at Atlanta, because it's the final race of the evening. My, doesn't time fly when you've got BSR to commentate on. Michael Seal then, pole position ahead of Nick Clibbins. Himself has got an evening to try and get back on track. Ashley Simpson in third, Craig Schill, Mark Oliver, Simon Robson, Glenn Humberston, James Clark, Julian Trower, and Douglas Stewart in 10th, ahead of Ryan Main, James Neve, Harley Moss, Shane Piggott, Adam Dalmont, and Sam Smith, with Casper de Court ahead of Lars Fisher, Adam McNally, Jason Cooper, Lee Holmes, Andy McEwen, Brian Stewart, Fiona Siddons, Frank Vestner, Miles Campana, and Craig Cockrell, all making their way up to the grid for 27 cars, making on to the grid for the final race of the evening. I'll tell you what, we're up for a very tasty fight, especially in that mid-pack. Seeing Jason Cooper, McNally, Fisher, and DeCourt all together up the track at the same point. That's going to be spicy in that midfield, seeing them all come up through together. Could have some big drama in store for the fourth and final race under the lights here at Road Atlanta. Michael Seal on the inside line into turn one. The lights go out and we go racing here. And it's a good start from Michael. You can see Nick Clibbins on the outside line, too far back to really challenge. Cool tyres though, could set something up into turn three, the crest of the hill, where we've seen so many times drivers attempt moves. Keyword being attempt, because very difficult is it to get cleanly through. Casper de Court sweeping it around the outside, then trying to find a way past the 777. Delmont, is he going to get through? Delmont bites it back. They continue to go side by side down the hill as we follow Douglas Stewart, bending off Harley Moss in ninth place. Glenn Humberston, though, has had a moment. Cold tyres caught out into the wall. So Glenn Humberston way down the order. It's a little mistake. Big consequences, but seems to have got away with it without too much damage. Was able to slow it down just before contact with the barriers. Let's have a look. Yep, cold tyres. It was going. We kept it on side on impact. Hopefully there's no steering damage. But it's much better than a front on, because that's where you see lots of damage. Nick Clemens, massive slide coming out of turn 8. Able to stay just about with it. Michael Seal up into the lead of the race as a result. You can see the snaking train of MX5s as is customary on the first lap, and then they all fan out trying to pick up a bit of slipstream, trying to get track position, going for the moves down into turn 10A, 10B. Michael Seal very close to the inside line. Realises if he was to brake late, he'd probably end up colliding with people on the apex. Backs out of the move, instead watches the pair squabble up ahead. Mark Oliver, Nick Clibbins fighting Brady with one another, but it is Mark Oliver, the AM driver, who's had a great start, up 4 places.
Yeah, fantastic start for Mark Oliver, up 4 places, and it was a battle between 3 different categories going into the chicane there, as we see more battling between Nick Clibbins and Mark Oliver. Nick Clibbins, we saw, did really well in race 2, but was hindered by an incident. It was nearly 3 wide again coming out of turn 1. And Mark Oliver, just a little bit of contact has shifted him wide. A slam on the brakes to keep the car locked up and in a straight line has worked. Has only sent him down to 5th place, but is under the cosh now from others in the field. And by the way, Casper de Court in 7th place right there. Nearly behind Mark Oliver now, up 10 places from the start on this opening lap of the race.
Yeah, and the fight to watch is, of course, going to be Casper de Court in his squabbles with, well, down the inside side. Robson trying to go for a move, isn't able to do it, but then also, don't forget, Casper de Court and his fight with the man who's just a bit further back, McNally, who's now made up a couple places in one fell swoop, side by side actually with James Neve, but I think down the inside through turn 9 should win out on this occasion, as well as picking up a little bit of slipstream from those cars ahead. Now you can see the train takes its way to the right hand side of the circuit, helps out inadvertently, helps out Adam McNally as Michael Seal sweeps by in the slipstream to the lead ahead of Nick Clibbins. Great move by Michael, definitely on track to get a race to victory. Should he break touch with Clibbins in behind, and hope that maybe Clark gets involved in the mix as well and slows him down. Look at Lars Fischer, we're seeing him down the inside of the camera angle, seeing the cars cascade their way through the final bend. Elevation changing the way the car sort of grips up the suspension and compresses down as the ground levels out, means you can carry significant amounts of speed in any car, especially MX5s. It's a really fun corner to drive. Lars Fischer then wheel to wheel with Ali Moss, who loses out on this occasion going through turn 3 and 4. James Neep sweeping through on Simon Robson, who was a little bit slow coming down through into the S's. You can see Main, I think, of making a move. If there's a good exit on the cards from turn 5, which there is. So then down into 6 and 7. I'm going to see the one driver go for a move. No, thinks better of it. Very smart in this early stage of the race. You're very close to all the cars. You can see the sea of orange. It means that everyone's very close to one another, at least half a second. Casper de Court, quite a charge up through the field. He's having 13 places gained already. We're only 4.5 minutes gone in this race. And I think Michael Seal is going to start to realise he's not going to have it all his own way, because there are some very quick drivers fast approaching.
Yeah, it's going to be a close one. This I can tell already. Casper de Court is on a mission at the moment. Third in the pro category in this race right now. 3 cars ahead of him to get into the top spot. The top spot that he claimed in race 1. So certainly wants to make it a repeat of wins in one night. Side-by-side action between Seal and Clibbins as Clibbins goes wide. Not enough room on the outside of Seal, and at the back there is an incident. I think that's Ryan Main. Yes, it is. Off coming out of turn 1, and he stops, and it did startle Adam Delmont a little bit, but there's no way back onto the track safe for Ryan Main, and that is a race ruined for him through trying to rejoin there.
Dear. Yeah, Ryan, you can just see Main was waiting on the exit of the circuit. Just from the attitude of the car, you can see that they were waiting to get back on, but the whole world was going by. So now that's a very disheartened driver of the 66 car at the back of the field. Just see an incident, and it was really a racing incident when it was so many cars all fighting for the corner. 3 wide, 4 wide, going through the final bend. It was never going to work, unfortunately.
I'm surprised it was only that shallow of an incident. It wasn't worse than that. Very lucky.
Amazed that only one driver came off as bad as they did, and it was only because they had to wait on the exit of the circuit, not because they had damage.
As we see more battling up the front here. Michael Seal broken away a little bit from the 3, battling back here. The 3 battling for pro category honours in this race. It is Clark versus de Court versus Clibbins. And at the front of them at the moment is Clark, and you see Seal back out of turning into the corner because Clark had stuck it to his inside. But Clibbins fights back on the undercut, but in the way of him is Seal, and it seems that Clark has got the better run of the bunch, and there's contact! In the middle of the track they all go, and it just all came together, and there is a big incident in the middle here. Cars screaming by. The 57 car of Michael Seal, more bad luck for him. Stuck on the middle of the track here while cars pass by. The spotters will be...
peel into bits.
He does.
Come on, Michael. I think he's just frustrated more than anything else. Eventually gets back into the pit lane, but just see how disheartening that incident was for Michael, who could see a race victory on the cards potentially, but denied. Unfortunately, Casper de Kort, though, into the lead of the race. That's very good to try and bookend the evening with race victories in race 1 and in race 4. In the middle of the evening is not really gone Casper de Kort's way, you have to say. A non-finish and then coming all the way down towards the back, then having to fight the way back up through the field.
We see this incident again, and it was just 2 going into 1 there, going over the hill. It just seemed that kinking to the right a little bit was it James Clark? It was, and that was it. But yeah, I assume questions would be answered after the race on why Seal didn't reset the car, and it must have been pure frustration because the win was on. The win was certainly on for Seal there.
Yeah, thankfully Seal didn't get contacted after the initial contact with another driver when Seal wasn't able to stop the car. Then when the car was stationary, there was no further incidents. But still, that's definitely could be looked at by the stewards if certain drivers lost out on positions and having to take evasive action. I think Andy McEwen was one of them, along with, I believe I saw a little bit of squabbling with Sam Smith having to take evasive action as well. Actually, Andy McEwen with a bit of damage to the front end. Oh dear. Not the way that the race winner was hoping his 4th and final race of the evening would be going. But still going through 16th place, decent points being scored on the board. No non-finishers are really the aim of the game in the late stage of the championship. You don't want to have any times where you take part in a race and score 0 points, because that can have big consequences later on. As we watch McNally now closing in, going for a move on the court. Great little overtake, and now is on the court, on Schroer rather, but Will Schroer try and fight back or work together. You can see that Casper de Kort isn't too far away. McNally closing in slightly with the slipstream, and if I was Schroer, I'd leave him be. I'd maybe bump McNally along just a touch into braking zone, but not go for it, which is exactly what he's doing. And see that the race is on for the lead of the race. De Kort, McNally, the gap closed down now to 1.5 seconds. Was 1.8. Getting definite toe as well, so it's game on for the lead of the race. De Kort was hoping to get away with it, but 5 minutes still to go. Plenty still to play for as Jason Cooper sweeping around the outside of Harimoss. Can he get it done? Of course he can. It's Jason Cooper.
Yeah, that was
to say that. Just about. Could be challenged into turn 1, but I think he's got it.
He's very close coming out of the chicane there. Adam Delmont recovering from the bad race 1 and race 2 that he had earlier on. But this is looking like a good battle between 2 pro drivers and 2 pro-am drivers. Cooper heading the group at the moment from Moss, Delmont and Vesna. And straight away, Cooper, he has been the man tonight. And there's a reason why there's number 1 on his door. As you said earlier, Ed, he is just screaming away from these already. 11 places gained for Cooper. And I don't think that's gonna stop just yet. The biggest mover of the field is Craig Cockrell. Haven't mentioned much of him tonight. Been involved in a few incidents here and there earlier on in the night. 8th place at the moment and 19 places gained. What a phenomenal journey through this race so far for Craig.
Yeah, busy evening for Craig. Coming back, obviously another driver that's had non-finishes this evening. Was leading the AM Championship coming into this 10th round, I believe. And we'll go into the final 2 rounds, maybe having to chase down, maybe not actually having to chase down Michael Seal, because Michael Seal's had his own issues. So all to play for, twists and turns in the championship. Like we said, coming into this, it's a real venue for excitement and drama is Road Atlanta. And we're seeing that perfectly displayed here this evening as Harley Moss squabbles with Frank Resner with an amazing switchback. Look at the drive he gets up the hill, out to the corner, and then all the way back down through the final bend. Frank Vesna up into 11th place, can see the top 10 as well. See the rear end. Adam Delmont, who himself has had a lot of setbacks, had a lot of action to deal with. I don't think there's any driver that's really come out unscathed this evening, and maybe that'll come into our picks for driver of the round. And for me, I still think it'll have to be Andy McEwen. Not only did he get his first race victory of the season, but let's not forget that first race, he was pulling off amazing overtakes, wasn't he? And then in that second race, had an amazing drive, only to be denied by an incident, having to go into the pits over a penalty.
Yeah, good night for Andy McEwen. A breakthrough win for him tonight, certainly, it's got to be said. Candidate for Driver of the Day. Other notable mentions, I've got to go to Adam McNally, who's been hovering around the top 3 all night. Every single race he's had a sniff at that top 3, and currently he's holding second place right now. Other drivers you've got to mention, such as Lee Holmes, with that brilliant drive in race 3 to catch up with the top 2. One more lap and he could have got involved in that. And of course Jason Cooper and Casper de Court, brilliant races from them tonight as well.
Yeah, definitely. Adam McNally is one of the highest scoring drivers this evening and could be on track to definitely be the highest following this race. If he's able to keep it all together and maybe snatch a race victory, it's definitely on the cards. Andy McEwen as well, even with the dramas he had earlier on, is not doing too badly for himself. But something to really watch out for, as well as Lee Holmes. His performance in the Pro-Am Championship has been really strong so far this evening. Again, up inside the Am class podium, or Pro-Am class podium. A little ways away from Julian Schroer, who's around 3 seconds clear, up in 4th place. But still an amazing effort from Lee Holmes. And then going to Julian Schroer, 444. We saw him on pole position in the, I think it was the second or third race. I want to say it was the second race. Then got involved in incidents, but from then on out, that little setback has only seemed to spur him on further forwards.
He's not letting this front pack get away either, towing him along, and he needs this, to be fair. Lee Holmes lurking in the wings here, 16 places gained for Lee Holmes, brilliant night for him. And we saw how much he was able to reel in the top 2 drivers in the previous race. He could do the same again. Well, 1 lap remaining, not highly likely, but still another good drive from Holmes.
Speaking of reeling in, that gap has come down to the lead now. It's about half a second between Casper de Court and Adam McNally. And this is where you really start to feel a slipstream. Great drive as well out of turn 10B. That gap is going to come way, way down. All of a sudden, it's game on for Adam McNally for the race victory. This is it. First and second in the championship, first and second on the road. Casper de Court versus Adam McNally. We've been seeing this fight brewing on in the evening, and what a fitting way to round out the final race for it to fully erupt on our screens right before our eyes here on Absolute Sim Racing. And I, for one, can't wait to see these two duke it out on the final lap of the final race of the evening. Adam McNally's got such a good run through the S. His car looked nicely dialed in. Wasn't able to get a good qualifying performance, don't forget, but in the races, his car, his driving ability has come back alive. 2 right-handers to negotiate for the final time this evening. Sends it into the first, carries momentum up, slows it down for the second. You can see him using all of the circuit, just a touch of the grass. Doesn't seem to hamper on the exit. In fact, uses the exit gap brilliantly. And now, this is it for Adam McNally, well within the slipstream. You can see on board in closing down. Look at the time on the left-hand side. 3/10 is going to become 2/10. Down in towards turn 9. Little right-hand kink, right-hand bend. Number 5, de Court holding the inside line, is going to open up for Adam McNally. He's going to go to the outside line, try and sweep his way through. Late on the brakes is Adam McNally. Is he going to have the overlap into the right-hander? He does, but is he going to have the drive out of the corner? No, he doesn't. Casper de Court is able to hold on, powers out of the final bend beautifully. You can see Adam McNally realises the shake of the wheel. He knows that the game is up. Casper de Court wins both the first and the final race of the evening. Brilliant drive, a 5-star performance. It's a bit of a cliche to say that now for any driver of that team, but I definitely think that lives up to his team's namesake. Brilliant drive. Had a gap, nursed it, then towards the end of the race, realised he was having to defend. First time to see how Adam McNally would attack him, and he defended it brilliantly. And let's not just forget Adam McNally as well. His own drive was great. Both Casper de Court and Adam McNally making up 16 and 17 places for that race respectively. James Neve finishing in third place. Had a great drive as well. Definitely something that he sorely needed after not having the best of evenings. And then the Pro-Am class, you've got Julian Schroer, Lee Holmes, Jason Cooper, pro driver finishing in 6th place. But that was some finish, wasn't it, Alex? It was one that we were really hoping to see. Two championship protagonists duking it out by themselves, and it did not disappoint.
Yeah, it was a tremendous effort from McNally, it's got to be said. He lined it up very, very well, but the court wisely Fox there kept it on the inside, positioned the car just right, not too far to the left, to compromise the entrance into the corner, and got the braking point absolutely perfect. This is what we were talking about at the end of race 3 as well, with the timing of the braking for that chicane there. It is the most crucial corner on the track, particularly when you're battling, but the court got it just right, and Adam McNally clearly wanted one more lap, that's for sure.
Yeah, you can tell that as soon as he came out of the crest at turn 11, he realised the game was up. Wiggling the steering wheel signified that was it. There was no more for Adam McNally to do as he rounded out the final corner. He took 2nd place, but still comes out with a very strong evening. And have a look through the field. I definitely think there are some tricky contenders. Adam McNally, one of the best performers of the evening, could be candidate for the drive of the round. But for me, my money has got to go to Andy McEwen getting his first race victory, and also just great racecraft that he showed, both in the first race, the second race, third race, and unfortunately we didn't see much of him in the 4th, but what a round it was from Andy. Finishing, though, the evening, we can have a look at the results from the 4th and final race, whilst Casper de Court winning the first race and confirmed to be winning the 4th. Adam McNally finishes in 2nd place, another podium for him. James Neve, Julian Schroer winning the Pro-Am class ahead of Lee Holmes, Jason Cooper, Simon Robson way up in 7th place as an AM driver, takes top honours in his class ahead of Craig Cockrell, Mark Oliver, Adam Delmont in 10th place, rounding out the top 10. Good to get back inside the top 10 for the Excite Racing driver. Frank Bessner, 333, finishes in 11th. Hardy Moss, 12th. Fiona Siddons, Glenn Humberston, Craig Schill, Ryan Main, Douglas Stewart, Sam Smith, and driver around Andy McEwen finishes out in 19th place after big dash sustained. Did well to nurse the car home. Got Nick Clemens in 20th ahead of Brian Stewart, Renato Campana, James Clark, Shane Piggott, Lars Fisher, who actually scored 0 points first. The drivers did not score any points, because then we've got, of course, Michael Seal and Ashley Stimpson all the way down the order, not scoring any points in the 4th and final race here at Road Atlanta. And Alex, that was a brilliant evening's racing. We come into the final 2 rounds with the championship looking wide open for the taking still.
Yeah, 2 rounds left. Alton Park next week, one of my favourite tracks of all time. And then the fairly new to iRacing, the Hungaroring coming up for the final round in 2 weeks from today. It's going to be very, very exciting end to the season. So do tune in to Absolute Sim Racing to catch all remaining 2 rounds. It's going to be very, very exciting indeed. But what a night of racing we've had here. A track that always brings drama, always brings good racing, because it's the challenge of the track for the drivers, and it's the challenge of battling on the track as well. It just has everything, this track does. Difficult to drive and difficult to battle with. And still people enjoy it, even though it's so difficult. Looking forward to seeing this track appear on the schedule in the future, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be very exciting to see. We don't have too much time left in the tank. I think maybe for one interview, because there was a little bit of a delay with getting the sessions up for you earlier. But we can, I think, Alex, have a chat to this man, Adam McNally, who joins us in the comms box. And that was a very good evening for you. You've managed to reduce the deficit to Casper de Court a little bit this evening. Championship still wide open for the taking, do you think?
To be honest with you, I really haven't been paying attention to where I am in the championship. I didn't know I was in contention for the championship, so that's a bit of a bonus.
Yeah, you're just behind Casper de Court, I think, by, well, not by much, shall we say. I think it's definitely less than 200, maybe about 150 points, I think. The margin in with 2 rounds to go, so a maximum of 800 points on the cards. things can still happen, of course. And
Especially if I have a night like tonight, 3 podiums and a 5th.
I know, very good. Very good showing.
Qualifying was a bit shocking.
I was going to say, what happened in qualifying? Was it just a matter of not getting the track position? Maybe you and your teammates weren't able to get the strategy to work as well as Five Star Motorsport boys did?
By the time I actually got my qualifying lap in, it was about 13, 14 minutes into qualifying, so my tyres were dead. So it just worked out. I haven't had the best of qualifyings at all this season, but I've been able to advance in race 1 and just seem to keep going, and it's been a great season. I've loved it.
I don't know if you get a chance to watch the broadcast in qualifying, but there's a little bit of a trick, I think, that Five Star Motorsport have been trying, where they all go into the pits around about midway through the session, get a fresh pair of tyres on for the final 5, and absolutely blitz it. That was how they were able to improve so much at the end. Maybe that could be something you and X-Lite can try and implement.
Oh, definitely. We used to do that sort of thing, but at the minute, like I said, I've just been doing it for fun. So where I start. And if I make up places, it's great.
I suppose, yeah, it isn't too bad when we see you making up places several times. I think last time I was in the booth was at, I think it was the Red Bull Ring, where you had very similar performance to this one. Very strong showing, maybe not best qualifying, but definitely making up plenty of places. And do you think coming into Alton Park, a circuit that's maybe a little bit trickier to overtake, you can maybe get the edge in qualifying this time and not have to give you so much work?
Hopefully, it's just, I find it hard to get on time practice at the minute, so I'm pretty much coming into qualifying and out with like 15-minute practice. So, like I said, I'm just doing it for the fun, and whatever happens, happens. So, other people, like Casper's maybe pushing a bit more than me. So I think that's maybe where I'm getting the edge. I'm not bothered where I finish, so like I said, what comes, comes.
Maybe towards the end of the championship, we might hear that tone change a bit in the final 2 rounds when you see how close you are. Maybe we'll see.
So look, I just refuse.
Maybe we'll see that competitive spirit come out, Adam. But I'll tell you what, you don't seem to need much incentive, because tell me about that final race. It was brilliant.
Oh, excellent. I thought I might have had a chance on Casper, but it was just a little bit too far back, and that's a little bit too much. And then I thought I had a bigger gap than I did to James, so I thought I'd just have a bit slide around the last corner. Luckily, I crossed the line before we made contact. But like I said, I had to go and apologise to him because I really didn't know he was there. But like I said, it was at 19th the second, helped me take that.
17 places, another great drive up through the field. You're definitely capable of doing those, and we'll hope to see plenty of good racing from you next week. Alton Park, like we said, coming up in 1 week's time, is a track that you've got confidence in. You think you can have the edge?
Definitely, I think I could be up there about maybe top 10 in qualifying again will do me. I'm just hoping there's some little cool jumps again like it was tonight. Because that fast left-hander with the exit curve, you can catch so much air off there.
Is that turn 5, I think, at the bottom of the X's?
Yeah. But awesome call. If you didn't get a 1X for doing it, it'd be worth doing every lap.
That's the spirit, Adam. We love that. But before we say goodbye to you, mate, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out here in the broadcast?
Just you guys doing the broadcast, everyone that does all the work behind the scenes with the penalties and stuff. Every driver that turns up makes the championship what it is, and obviously my teammates as well for turning up every week.
No worries. Thank you, Adam, for giving us a great show, and we'll like to see you, like we said, in a week's time. Take care, bud.
Thank you. See you later.
With that, Adam exits the comments box, and we unfortunately have to exit the broadcasting booth. It's been great fun being with you, Alex. We'll have to do this again, and we will do this again, because next week it'll be both myself and Alex Everett in the comms box at Alton Park for the 11th round of the SIM3D BSR MX5 trophy. Of course, sponsored by SIM3D and also in partnership with Go for the Gap. Glad to have these sponsors on board and allow us to bring you all of this thrilling racing action live on Absolute Sim Racing. All that's left to say is goodbye from myself, goodbye from Alex, and most importantly, to all of you watching, take care.
Colder the touch, dead in the eyes. No signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. But crying dove may never fly. Black and white.